Cinema Gulp is approaching our 10-year anniversary on YouTube this month, so forgive us for being nostalgic. We're going back in time to some of our earlier reviews and some of our most quote-unquote iconic videos. Here's some of the horror film reviews that we picked out just for this occasion.
Hey, welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Ben.
And I'm John, and we just got back from seeing Suspiria. How did Suspiria make you feel, Ben?
It made me feel like I want to drink the blood of a Virgo, John. How'd it make you feel? For those of you that don't know, Suspiria is actually a remake of a Dario Argento film from the late 70s. It's pretty much about dancing, witches, awesome eerie music, and a lot of raining. This film definitely keeps the raining, definitely keeps the dancing, actually ups the dancing quite a significant amount. And to me, it has the same type of eerie feeling, but just in a very, very different way. More sort of, if you know what an Argento movie looks like, this does not look like an Argento movie, nor should it look like an Argento movie. It took the basic plot of Suspiria, and it made something completely different. This is a completely different movie than the first Suspiria movie, and I like it for that. This is a long movie. This clocks in at over 2.5 hours, which I know John loved. But I will tell you right now, and then I will pass it over to John here, that I loved almost every frame of this movie, no matter how long it is.
I pretty much fucking hated this movie. The original film is an hour and a half.
Yes.
And even that film has very little plot.
Yes.
Very little character development. It's all style, no substance in that film. I'm not even a big fan of the original, but what things I do like about the original, like the amazing colorful cinematography, they don't use that in this film. Understandable. I get why the filmmakers wouldn't want to recreate that same look because it's so iconic. You know, they'd have something to live up to. So they're trying to do something different, and they certainly did. I will give the film credit for being a very different movie. There's things I liked about it, but for the most part, I really just found it a confusing movie that seemed a little bit pretentious at times and trying to be arty, and just didn't really connect with it ever.
If you're going to remake an Argento movie, you fucking better be pretentious. You got to be pretentious to even try, because that's the whole point of Argento. The joke in film school is that you're fucking pretentious if you talk about Argento. I agree with you about the color palette, and it's missing. Here's the problem that the DP of this film had. They had to make it look like, I hate to say it, makes me sound old, but they had to make it seem like a period piece because it takes place in the 70s. And it does a good job of not just setting people up and dressing them in 70s clothes. It feels like the 70s. I think last night you had said one of the things that really sells that is the fact that it's in Berlin, and there's a lot of the foreign aspect to it.
Is it Berlin? I thought it was Drizzledorf from all the fucking rain the whole movie.
It apparently rains a lot in Berlin because it takes place there in the first film, and it's constantly raining in that one too. So much that you can barely even hear the dialogue in the first movie. Like they wanted the rain to sound higher than the dialogue.
The costumes and the set design, the production design, it did really feel like that period piece from the 70s.
The movie does evoke a lot of like strange, eerie, witchy type of tension without using that Argento color palette that looks like a gobo threw up a bunch of fucking Fruit Loops. So
I felt like this movie took a while to get to kind of the big breakout scene that really reminded you, okay, this is a remake of Suspiria. This is going to be a violent horror movie. So it does take a while to get to that point. But once some of the crazy witch stuff starts happening, there's some pretty bone-crushing and head-exploding violence in this movie that stands out.
It's beautiful evil. Like, I give it a lot of credit because it really does just embrace the evil. I mean, it's so dark and disturbing, and like there's nothing about it that shows any signs of like kind of hope or redemption for anyone.
The one bit of light in the darkness of this film is the old man character. I forget his name.
He's Dr. Kupperschlagen.
The old man is played by Tilda Swinton, and she does an amazing job in this performance.
Her Tilda Swinton playing multiple. I think she plays three, maybe more. We're still counting. We also have Dakota Fanning in this movie. Dakota Fanning.
I believe it's Melanie Johnson.
I'm sorry, Melanie Johnson Jr. I liked her a lot in this movie. I don't know how old she is as an actress, but did you get the idea that she was supposed to be playing a younger person? was she supposed to be playing like a teenager?
You know, they didn't really establish her age.
But do you notice how she kind of like, her body movements and her mannerisms were kind of childish? It made me think of the daughter from Taken, who was like 30 years old when she played a 16-year-old, and they made her run.
Maggie
like,
Grace?
Yeah, Maggie Grace. Like,
yeah.
They had her be a 16-year-old, and she ran like she had like flippers for arms and legs.
Let's jump into the nudity.
Let's jump into how much nudity is in this movie.
It's an art house film, so you get this kind of risque
They
stuff
do
sometimes.
get away with it.
Yeah. I'm glad it had some nudity. At least there was something to kind of enjoy. I mean, some of the nudity, a lot of the nudity comes towards the end when you have this big climax. You're not enjoying the nudity because there's so much other revolting stuff going on in that scene that even if there's some hot chicks flailing and dancing around, it's nothing titillating in that scene.
I disagree. While I was watching that ending scene and all those naked chicks everywhere, I was thinking what it'd be like to be into bestiality and be watching the musical Cats. Gore, I want to see 3 really top-notch, disturbing motherfucking scenes in this movie. And the very first one, I know you know what I'm talking about. It does take a while to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that scene was hard to watch.
Such a standout. Yes.
Very creative.
Very creative. That is a scene that I will remember. That's a scene that certainly, affected me while watching it. To the point where you want it to end. You are like,
it was long.
This has gone on long enough. And we need it to end, and it keeps going on. But then the end is insane. It just goes off the rails.
Absolutely insane.
There's amazing makeup effects in this movie in those 3 scenes specifically.
And I'm wondering if the reason why we didn't hear more about this crazy ending out of TIFF, it's so evil and so disturbing. I think people wanted to literally wash it away from them after they watched it.
Understandable.
I even feel the same way, even though I just admire so much about the movie. I do feel, aside from the dream sequences and the fact that it's 2 hours and 34 minutes long, and I can tell you right now, as an editor, how much I could chop out of this movie and it would be the same fucking movie. I loved the editing when it needed to matter. And well, obviously it matters the most when it's about cutting the film down to a reasonable amount of time. But you know what I mean, in scenes where it matters, how it's used in the scenes to make things either scary or progress things as they get higher and higher. So I really liked that, and I think I'd heard of this editor before when we stuck around for the post-credit scene, which is amazing. You should watch that, by the way. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'll just tell you right now, Hocus Pocus 2.
How about that, the guy who did the score? What do you think of that? Tom Yor, who did the score.
That's who it was?
Yeah, Tom Yor of Radiohead did the score.
Here's the thing. I like it. I do. It's great. And it again, it's used appropriately in the movie. But I love the original score of the original movie. I love it.
You can't replace a band called Goblin. There's very little of the original that I'm like in love with. I don't like that movie all that much either.
I don't like it as much as other people seem to.
Yeah. I mean, people consider it this amazing classic, and after rewatching it recently, I kind of question how many of D'Argento movies I'd actually really like.
When it uses the score in one particular point with the real big dance number, it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. That was the best use of the lighting of the movie, the editing of the movie, and the sound of the movie, and then the stunt people that they had acting. But the dance numbers, whether you like dance or not, are fucking impressive and weird. And like, I didn't even know dance like that. What is that dance?
Well, it's not my style of dance.
But that stuff looks crazy. Like, so I don't blame. I mean, they can't expect like these actors who are probably getting paid pennies to work on this low budget movie to fucking learn that.
She's not such a strong actress, in my opinion. They could have just hired a dancer who could act.
I liked her. I'm not saying that somebody else couldn't have played her part. I'm definitely not saying that.
I think her sister's better, Ellie Fanning.
Mary Elizabeth Olsen or whatever. Elizabeth Olsen or whatever.
Mary Master Antonio.
What about Mary Stuart Masterson?
I fucking hated this movie. It was just so confusing. Like, the names of the witches in this movie really confuse you. There's this dialogue that's going on and voiceover, and you never, in my opinion, I just never really kind of knew what was going on with the Coven of Witches. 2 or 3 scenes that stand out because of the violence and some of the interesting editing and camera work. I found it to be a really tough watch. I'm here to say this movie fucking sucked, and my gulp score for this is going to be a 2.
I cannot touche that because I'm on the opposite side. I think Cinema Gulp today really represents the way not just other critics but people are seeing this movie, where it's just a divide right down the middle. Because I don't know if anyone can actually like this movie because I kind of love it and he kind of hates it. It fit my taste of film watching. It's what I like to watch. I don't always like a slow burn, but when it captures me and it takes me in right away and I get fully invested, there are twists and there are turns in this film. They take a long time to get there, but if done correctly, I'm willing to take the 2 hours and 34 minutes to let it get me there. And as a remake, I don't give a shit. I wasn't even comparing this to the original Suspiria because it literally is its own movie completely. It's hauntingly beautiful and it's so goddamn disturbing, and sometimes I love to challenge myself with disturbing things. But I'm going to give it 8.25 gulps.
We want to know what you guys think, because it's a divisive film. So if you check out the film and you check out our review, please let us know what you think below.
John, where can they find us?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
That's right. Until next time, this is Ben.
And this is John.
Speaking for the covenant of Cinema Gulp, we drink your witch's brew.
Мисулина упорно запрещает гондоны. Агония, спазм, стук падающей короны. У страны похлеще, чем Анна о неврозы.
We drink your cinema.
I drink it up!
We drink your cinema.
I drink it up!
Drink your cinema.
Cinema.
Welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Sister Ben.
And I'm Sister John. And today we went to our local chapel and got ordained as nuns. Okay, tell us what you love about God. In 3, 2, none.
What do I love about God? God is awesome!
What do you love about God? In 3, 2, none.
God has blessed me with great looks.
Since we got ordained as nuns, we took a vow of sobriety, so we will be sober for the duration of this review.
And a vow of obscenity. No obscenities.
That's right, John. So with that, let's talk about the new quote-unquote horror film from the Conjuring franchise called The Nun.
Oh, holy fuck, this movie sucked.
Boy, does this movie suck. So, because we're nuns now, we can talk about what a disgrace The Nun is to nuns all around the world, right? I know I'm a disgrace. And by the way, stick out your hand. Stick it out.
Okay, Sister Ben, sorry.
That's what you get when you swear during the vow of no whatever obscenities. You get a ruler to the arm.
Well, I vow to watch none of these fucking spin-off Conjuring movies anymore.
So, how much actual suspense was there?
None.
How much atmosphere and creepiness was there?
None. How much did we learn about the mythology of the nun character?
None.
How many actual scares and
None.
fright moments were effective?
None.
Okay. Well,
Sister Ben fucking hates this movie, Sister John.
put out your hand.
Sorry. Hey! I think this movie is ridiculous. It's a piece of garbage. It's obviously they wouldn't even dump this thing out at the asshole of summer. They put it right at the taint of fall. I mean, this movie...
Know, I think I'm going to have to wrap those fingers for that. I don't think you can use that language around here.
They're just body parts, Sister John. But, yeah, this movie, on a filmmaking level, looks like the most ridiculous student horror film I've seen in a long time. It's got this awful CGI atmosphere, these weird castles. It looks like it's trying to be the world's worst imitation of a Hammer movie.
Yes.
No scares. None.
None.
I want to say this to anyone that thought that this was a good idea. If your sole purpose of making The Nun was to make us scared of nuns, everyone already is.
You were saying this looks like a Hammer movie or a cheap student project. Right from the beginning, I felt like you had scenes of like the fog rolling in by the people's feet. Just looked like music video from the 80s. The lighting was like music video lighting from the 80s. It was just terrible like student filmmaking. It's very pointless. Like, it doesn't seem to really have a point of like why we needed to know anything about this nun character. This nun character, like, we don't want to give away whatever story this movie has, which is
There's nothing.
How much story does this movie have?
I said, how do we even spoil this movie? There's no story.
None.
There's nothing. Oh, sorry. I ruined your other nun.
By the way, how do you get a nun pregnant?
How do you get a nun pregnant?
Dress her up like an altar boy.
One of the things I want to talk about is that this movie's not scary because it uses the techniques of a child, something that's not even scary to a child, actually. I mean, how many times are you supposed to be scared when someone's standing up and behind them is a creepy nun, and as they start to turn around, the nun is gone. Ooh, the nun disappears. Right, John? Sister John? So yeah, it looks like a CinemaGulp's costume budget is just about as high and as creative as The Nun, because this is pretty much the scariest thing you're going to see in that movie. This is actually almost exactly what they use in this movie when nuns are sneaking up behind people. Isn't that right? You are Sister John, right?
Maybe a little light beer in a coffee cup.
There were definitely moments of unintentional comedy in this movie. We laughed a couple times, just because of how bad the movie was and how poorly made the movie was. We both were getting a ton of laughs. I've got to say, this filmmaker is a very effective filmmaker. I'm going to cover my face so you can't see me when I say something like that, because I don't want anyone to actually believe these words. But he's a very effective filmmaker for 13-year-olds, because they were fucking loving this movie. They were all completely jumping at every moment that was a cheesy, obviously set up jump scare. Every little musical cue that is there just to tell the viewer when they're supposed to be excited or have a moment of intensity. None of it worked for us except to make us laugh.
Yeah, there was a girl a couple seats down from me in our row that was, she was going to have a fucking anxiety attack. I was falling asleep during this movie, Sister John. I was not scared. It was never tense. Jump scares come a mile away, and the music, to me, music kills jump scares. Why do they think it makes them better? Most real horror directors don't think it makes them better. Mm-hmm. But
and James Wan is a perfect example. Like the way that the filmmaking techniques on display in the Conjuring movies, the camera work, the way they use atmosphere to set the scenes, the long takes, the lack of music, or just the subtle cues of music in the right moments. Like Wan does all of that perfectly with those first two Conjuring movies. So it's a shame that these spin-off movies just use the most basic horror tropes imaginable. They don't do anything inventive. They do everything that we've seen before just over and over for an hour and a half. All three of these spin-off movies have just been like student-made productions.
And I think like the fifth review I did, The Conjuring 2, because you were out of town. In that movie, I talk about a lot what you just said, where the camera work, there's a beautiful Steadicam shot that's just haunting as motherfucker in that movie, and it's not used for music. It's well lit, it's well paced, everything about it flows perfectly. That's James Wan. James Wan is a great filmmaker, but the first and second Conjuring movies are well told stories with thought-provoking, not just thread lines, but imagery, which is why they made this fucking movie, because there's an image in it that seemed interesting, though I thought it was the stupidest thing in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
exactly.
This movie has none of that. There's nothing. If you're not going to be scary, if you're not going to be scary and make me scared in the theater, at least give me something to go home with that frightens me or makes me think about something. You don't think about anything in this movie because you don't even know what the story is. Or aside from like three people running around a castle with nuns creeping up behind them, what happened in this movie?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing happened in this movie. They did nothing with the mythology. That's where if they're going to hire some cheesy director who doesn't really know how to make effective scares, at least tell a creepy story. So maybe when we go home, or as we think about how this connects to the bigger Conjuring universe, like if that's their goal in Hollywood today is to make these expanded universes, then give us something to think about where we're interested in the connections between the films.
Yeah.
There was nothing really. They just tacked on an ending that made it connect to the other films. Otherwise, there's no reason for this to be a part of this connected universe.
And if any of them were going to be thought-provoking, you would think a religious-based one might have something to say or creep you out. But no, it's just like, there's these things, there's a portal to hell, we have to close it, zombie nuns are trying to kill us. That's the fucking movie. And I'm sorry that I spoiled that. I know I told you that this was a nun spoiler review.
There was nothing special about this movie in any way, shape, or form. In fact, what little effects they use of the of the scary nun. They looked so much better in The Conjuring 2.
Because they were shown in like quick flashes.
Well, and they were mainly just makeup jobs on a creepy looking actress. Now they've done a CGI mouth that they overuse a couple times in the movie, and it just never even looks like anything but a cheesy CGI creepy.
And let me ask your honest opinion after watching an hour and a half of a movie about the nun. Who and what is the nun? Why is the nun here? You don't know, right?
I have none clue.
There's no answers in this movie. It's not interested in that. It's just interested in a confined location with zombie nuns. It has no interest in telling a story.
And they didn't even use the zombie nun aspect could have been done a lot better. I mean, it's kind of barely used in the movie. Like you said, it's a couple times you see something in a hallway down in the distance, a nun, the shape of the nun. That's the thing I was thinking while watching the film. Like, all they need is this outline. That's all they need to work with to be creepy. I mean, it's effective for the kids, not necessarily for me. And they couldn't even do that well. Like, they couldn't even just have the Michael Myers effect of the thing in the distance and have it a couple times in the movie be effectively creepy. Not once.
Never.
That's
what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted out of this, because that's what they do in the Conjuring movies well.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they had no interest in creativity.
No,
it was just in your face, all right there. Take it or leave it, like it or don't. We don't give a fuck. This is what we're putting out, and we're putting out garbage on my fucking birthday of all days, you bastards. Okay, so Sister John, I am going to prayer the nun. I think this movie's terrible. I'm going to only give it one prayer from Sister Ben. I thought it was garbage, made no sense, had no story. It's not scary, it's not interesting, it's not well shot. Don't go see this piece of garbage. This movie sucks. Sister John?
I'm right there with you. Everything you said, I completely agree. There's just so little to like about this movie, so little positive points to make about this movie. So I'm going to give it... one Hail Mary.
Amen.
What is a monk's sex life like?
Is this a joke?
What kind of sex life does a nun... What kind of sex life does a monk have?
I don't know. What kind, Sister John?
None. What's black and white and red all over?
What?
Two nuns fighting over a chainsaw.
I wonder, John, if this movie would have been more interesting if it was based on the new Pastafarian religion, where people... wear pasta strainers on their heads so that they can take funny-looking license plate photos. Do you think this movie would have been scarier if the nuns were running around with pasta strainers on their heads?
Hell yeah. For sure.
Honestly, I think it's a little scarier.
Yeah?
Do something like try to scare me, boo me or something.
As scary as the movie is.
Yeah. Please like and or subscribe to Cinema Gulp today.
I'm a Pastafarian.
Find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram under Cinema Gulp.
Hey, Ben. How many of our Cinema Gulpers out there actually watched this review all the way to the end?
Oh, none!
This is Private Jones of the Armed Forces Radio Network, and I am here live about to reach the front lines where the Germans have just invaded Poland. We are here, airborne right now, with Corporal Stark. Corporal Stark, tell me what you're feeling right now, about to go to the front lines.
I feel like a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. That's how I feel. I'm gonna get me some Nazis.
This is our review of Overlord.
So on the weekend of Veterans Day, where we are honoring all armed service members, whether they're active, whether they're retired, we thought that we would review the film that's very patriotic, that's all about kicking the shit out of Nazis in World War II.
And some zombies.
So we just saw Overlord. John, what'd you think of this movie?
Overlord was a lot of fun. This movie starts out really great. It's like a blast of energy at the beginning. And my biggest issue was that the movie just couldn't sustain that entertainment level that it starts off with.
It sets the bar real high for itself.
It does.
And you said the word fun. And when you think of World War II films, sometimes those don't always come together unless you're that kind of weirdo. But I want to get into some positives about the film right off the bat, because I really did enjoy the movie. As a war movie, it really kind of works as an isolated story of a small little unit that has a specific task to do, kind of in the vein of Saving Private Ryan. You know, they're paratroopers, so they drop people all over the place during that time for different little missions and things. And I thought that stuff was done really well. It was high tension.
I agree.
It was well acted for the most part for what they needed to do. There's the stereotypical freaking guy from the Bronx, you know, chewing on the gum. All that stuff was really tight.
I think the setup of the film, the war element of the film really works. There's some really believable moments of war action to some degree in the film.
I do think that there's some characters that present themselves as sort of the point of moral obligation and duty during time of war, and I like that. That's sort of the background of you know, the theme of the movie, because when it goes into this crazy laboratory of Nazis running experiments, trying to it's basically these Nazis are trying to reanimate the dead to sort of make them like psychotic super soldiers to an extent, to take over the fucking world, because that's all the Nazis really want to do.
The typical Nazi super soldier storyline.
And I like that there's a character that's the moral center, and he keeps it together really well. And I think that guy, I thought he did a really good job. And I really liked.
I thought you were going to say Russell Wyatt, because he was at least a sense of duty. I mean, both of those characters, if you're talking about the main character and
there's the moral
Russell,
focus, and
Wyatt
then there's
Russell,
the sense
or whatever.
and I kept getting reminded of Stargate with David Spade or whatever, or what's his name? William Sadler. Wait, what's his name?
Adam Sandler?
No, James Spader.
James Spader. We
Yeah,
both got it at the same time.
Wyatt Russell was really reminding me of Kurt Russell in this movie, man. Like, just from his grunts and his facial expressions and his smirk.
Yeah, you mentioned that at the end of the film, and I wasn't thinking Stargate at the time, but I certainly picked up on, you know, that he was giving the most Kurt Russell performance I've ever seen him give.
Because he's never given a serious one before.
Yeah. Like you said, he's always playing a stoner, kind of a goofball. There's a paratrooping intro scene that is super intense. It's somewhat kind of shot in a one take, and I found it to be far more exciting and thrilling than Mission Impossible's Tom Hanks fucking jumping out of an airplane 170 times to get the one shot right. You know, people falling out of planes and airbursts going off everywhere around him, and this guy just like tumbling to his death. You don't know if he's going to survive, and we won't spoil it, but it's a very exciting, intense opening to this movie.
That opening scene is a buildup of tense pieces, all kind of connecting together one after another. That scene is brilliant.
Yes.
It is really great. And that's why the movie has a really hard time after that first 10, 12, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's still good for a while. It's good all the way through. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's good. There's good craftsmanship. The movie pops. I thought it looked great. I thought there's the budget put to good use as far as like gore and some of the sound design with the weapons and
the
things like that.
The set design, you know, the believable look of these fortresses, and it had some standout moments in terms of direction, and others that just kind of felt rote and like we've seen him before in these kind of films.
Sure. But it did have, to me, it was very tense through most of it. It had really good action. It was mostly shootouts.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bulk of the action. They're done.
But some really
they're
good
done so good
war shootouts.
Yeah, and they're done so good. I think it's a fun movie. I don't think that it's anywhere near a flawless movie. John, I couldn't help but wonder had they gone a little further, because you have this thing where once you cross over into camp, you're there. And then you're just like a campy movie, and that's all people want to see. I think that this movie was walking the line, and because it didn't really go too far camp or too far serious, it's kind of stuck in the middle with sort of a predictable plot, and really no twists or turns. Like, the reveals aren't ever done as twists, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there's never a shocking whoa, like it's always just, it's kind of just laid out for you very simply.
I also thought that there was a lot of really bad decision making in this movie. Not just because it was predictable, but also because the person would do something really stupid, in my opinion, in the moment. It wasn't scary or...
No, you're right.
Some of the later moments of action, it's weird. Every scene in the movie was still kind of fun, but it did lacked a certain level of tension.
Yeah, well, it was fun because I think the direction was playful.
War It's fantastic.
Like, even though there's serious stuff going on, it's World War II, there's bodies blowing up, and it doesn't take that stuff as a joke. It's very, very respectful. I think it's a very patriotic movie, which is why we're doing it for Veterans Day. We're doing it for Veterans Day. USS Constellation, CV-64, motherfucker.
One scene that I thought was really handled really well, really kind of harkened back to Saving Private Ryan. There's a character in this film that is not the strongest character, and you know that from the beginning. He's kind of the meek character, and when he meets his end in this movie, it's a very dramatic, sad kind of moment.
Totally,
in this movie.
yeah.
They really amp up the drama in that scene, and I loved it. And the finale was definitely something where I felt like I've seen this and know exactly where this is all going.
And that's my biggest problem with the movie, is that it just kind of dissolves into, oh, here's that bad guy who we met earlier who got a little bit too much character development. There is such a thing as too much.
Well, he's one of the characters I was kind of fascinated with. For
Somebody
his
called him a
scenes.
low-rent Michael Shannon, which I thought was pretty funny. So this movie's called Overlord. John, do you know why?
I have no clue. I mean, I can make speculations, but really the movie never confirms any reason to call it Overlord. Oh, I know why. Because it's connected to Cloverfield.
I know a lot of people are calling it the Shaving Ryan's Privates meets Giving Head movie. Or what is that? Saving Private Ryan meets Walking Dead. That's what I meant to say. I'm sorry. My head is somewhere else. It is a good war movie. It's a good movie to review for Veterans Day because despite what the trailers make it seem like, an all-out bloodbath of crazy zombie action, it is more of a military war movie than anything else, I would say. Because of that, I gotta give it 7 gulps.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a very patriotic score. It starts out really strong and just never lives up to that scene again. And so, peppered with some fun moments along the way and some dramatic moments that I enjoyed, but for the most part, the movie just kind of ends up being a bit forgettable for me. So, this certainly kind of falls in a middle of the road for me at a 4.75.
Woo! So that was our review of Overlord, now playing in a theater near you. If you like this review, please click like and subscribe to Cinema Gulp today. Leave comments, please, in the comment section below and click notification bell.
Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Look for us under Cinema Gulp.
Yes, and we want to say Happy Veterans Day to all my fellow veterans in the armed services, all branches of the United States Armed Services. We salute you, and we love you.
We thank you for your service. And Ben, we thank you for your service as well.
You're very welcome, John. I'm Ben.
And I'm John.
We drink your cinema.
I drink it up!
Over hill, over dale, we will hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter marching all about, and those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high V in the field artillery. Count out your numbers, long and strong.
Welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm John.
And I'm Ben.
And we are very excited because we just saw The Invisible Man.
And not only that, we're even more excited, John, because we just purchased some invisible juice. If you don't know what that is, drink's supposed to make you invisible.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, that's just the thing, John. Will you be able to see it?
Let's find out.
Bottoms up. Bottoms up.
Feel anything?
Not yet.
My balls?
4 hours later.
Dude, you're invisible now.
Holy shit, this stuff worked. I can't see you either. You're invisible.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Ow! What the hell did you do that for?
I had to make sure you weren't really there.
Jeez. Hey, cheers. We're invisible.
Hell yeah.
This is rad. So now that we're invisible, let's review The Invisible Man.
Excellent.
Okay. John, I love this movie. Well, I love 2/3 of this movie. I like the final act. But this movie is directed by Lee Whannell, who in 2018 gave us Upgrade.
A film I enjoyed. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, unique,
Yes.
Interesting.
And there were shades of Upgrade in this movie.
There was,
You could definitely
aesthetically.
tell. Aesthetically. You could tell the same filmmaker worked on both films.
Yeah.
But they're very different films in their execution.
All I really wanted out of this movie was to see, because obviously they threw away the Universal Dark Universe monster franchise thing, probably for the best, and decided, hey, let's take at least Probably the smallest, most insignificant property of those, which arguably would be the Invisible Man, because it's not really a monster. So, quote unquote monster. Like, giving this to Blumhouse and giving them $7 million, I think, is literally the smartest thing you can do. Because what would have happened if this thing was a dark universe movie? It'd be a world-ending event because of the Invisible Man. Like, I love that this one is so self-contained. There's very few characters. It's small. It's usually just set in different houses, different rooms within the houses. It's quiet. It's atmospheric. The camera work. I know that, you and I are going to start this review agreeing to disagree because we have different thoughts on the movie and it made us feel differently. It did scare me. I felt there was a lot of terrifying moments in the first 2/3 of it. It had a lot to do with the camera work, had a lot to do with the sound design, and just the thought of someone staring at you from across the room that's not there. In this one, I kind of examined it in the same way I did It Follows, where I was like, what was it that made me have nightmares from It Follows? What was it about that movie that made it so I couldn't sleep for a couple of days? I don't like it as much as It Follows. I think that one's kind of a modern classic, but I feel like what got me scared in The Invisible Man was a lot of the same kind of techniques that It Follows used, and it's all that stuff of your imagination creating the terror.
I think you're with a lot of the other people out there, a lot of the rest of the audience that was entertained and thrilled by this movie. For me, all those thrills did not materialize. The Invisible Man stayed invisible to me through this whole movie. I was really just waiting for it to take off for me, and it never did. I found this movie to be pretty dull. I did not buy into the premise or the concept, especially once it all plays out by the end. There's elements of the story that are not far-fetched. It's not that I can't believe them in the world that's presented, but I don't think they gave us enough to make it all make sense for me. Typically, the movies I like the best are visceral, that actually get you on the edge of your seat. And that's what I'm hearing a lot of people say about this movie, including, you and other people we went to the theater to see. You were on the edge of your seat for this film. And
literally.
I wasn't, and I wanted to be. I mean, I think I said going into this one, I'm really excited. I hope we come out raving about this. I did not expect to dislike it as much as I did. I don't want this to feel like, oh, I need some special effects in the movie to enjoy it, but I really think there needed to be more moments where you see invisible things, invisible effects. They really do a good job in Hollow Man, a movie that is not that good when it comes to its script and its perverted side, and there's a lot of issues with that movie, but when it comes to presenting an Invisible Man on screen, it is amazing. It purposely makes sure that you see him when he's not there, whether it's with smoke or things that get thrown on him like blood, and all those moments really stand out to make a good Invisible Man movie. This one had only maybe one scene that kind of plays into that.
I think it wanted to strip down that stuff, like the effects.
I needed more of that, and that's where I felt the movie was lacking. I was not afraid of just a person being across the room. And I think in a reality sense, once you know that that's all it is, that it's not a ghost or a demon or something that is out of this world, I would just run across the room and tackle it.
Kind of the first big set piece where
an Invisible Man is involved.
Yeah, where Invisible Man is involved. It's like from that point on, she's clued in because the movie's more about like people thinking she's crazy. Because
that was the premise.
The movie plays off on like it plays off of someone actually figures it out and knows what's happening. Now, how do you tell someone that without looking completely fucking nuts? He does kind of get the jump on her a couple different times, and then there's obviously a very horrific scene when she does kind of finally get the information out to somebody.
That's the best scene in the movie. We don't want to give anything away.
No, it's a crazy scene, dude.
Yeah, we don't want to give anything away in that scene, but it has something to do with a big old knife.
That it does.
And that was definitely one of my favorite scenes. I was even telling Josh, I loved how they disarm you in that scene, that you really... I never got on board with the tension, but I could tell that the movie was playing for tension, that it had a lot of these long, slow, drawn-out scenes of quiet, you're not sure if someone's in the room or not. And so the movie did what it needed to. It didn't work for me. That was a scene where I had stopped worrying about any tension to even be in the scene.
Because they're out in public.
Well, not even that they're in public, just the dialogue of that scene, some of the humor introduced in that scene, disarms you in a way where you are just not even prepared for what really happens.
Yeah.
I love it, what happens, but I also have an element of that moment that felt cheesy to me.
I want to talk about the score, because the score, as everyone knows, can make or break a movie, especially a horror movie, a good score. And I'm not talking about cue you to be scared. I'm talking about heightening the intensity, heightening the terror. And this guy's name is Benjamin Wallfish. I've heard him before. I guess he works with Hans Zimmer a lot. It sounded very Upgrade, too. There was the big walls of that loud...
Did he do Upgrade? I would think maybe he did. But...
He might have, but it had those big walls of that loud, dreadful, like, synth, and I love that stuff. A very eerie score that to me, just racked up the tension even more.
You know, we're so hooked in those scenes that are meant to be intense or have you on the edge of your seat and slowly move around a space and give you some negative space in the image, in the frame, and you're supposed to wonder what's there. And that's where the score really was effective. But for some reason, those scenes just fell so flat to me. There's a twist that makes some of it make sense. Of why he can accomplish a lot of things.
Yeah, it fills in some plot holes.
But creates more plot holes because then certain relationships in the movie seem very confusing. They do put a lot into Elizabeth Moss's character. She does a good job. She plays crazy well. She's very convincing.
She's very good in this movie.
Yeah, she's very good in the movie. I don't know. I feel like she could have done things to help make her case better.
It is a surreal thing that you can't believe that your mind is even like, wow, this is real. Holy shit.
And I feel like the way he is presented in this movie, he is a phantom. He doesn't make noise. He can move throughout the room without alerting anybody. He's still just a human being, a physical being in this earth. You just don't see him. He still takes up space, and they just don't play into that well in this movie, I feel. I feel it does not play
Watch
into
the last 30 minutes of Hollow Man, dude. He becomes like a fucking superhuman strength. Yeah, I just now noticed that Kevin Bacon loves just dangling around his nuts in movies, man. He's just naked all the time.
He loves to dangle his meat.
Apparently, you have to be naked.
Ben,
what?
You're dangling your meat right
Oh my god, we gotta keep drinking. It must have wore off.
All
right, bottoms up. Let's do this. Any second now. So hey, I'm gonna go ahead and give the gulp score. I'll go first.
No. I want to go first.
No, I think I'll go first since I liked it and you didn't.
Age before beauty. I'm going first.
I just wasn't impressed with this movie. I went in excited, hoping for the best.
It does seem like you're kind of bummed.
Yeah, I was definitely bummed. It does have a couple moments that worked for me. I think there was a lot of things in this movie that played out in an obvious fashion that I was hoping would be more clever. I gotta go pretty low on this. I'm gonna give this a 4.25.
My favorite thing about horror films that are directed well, being creative and finding filmmakers, and that's what I love. Blumhouse is hit or miss. I mean, God, a week before this one, they had like their biggest piece of shit ever supposedly come out. But when they take a chance on someone and it hits, which this one did for me, I feel it pays off. I thought he was a good choice to direct this. It's sleek, but it's gritty, and you can feel the budget restraints and where you have to work harder to make something more interesting. So I like all that stuff, and I really like a lot of the camera movements, and that stuff is important when it comes to like creating scares. A lot more than people think. It's subliminally hitting you over the head, you know? I'm gonna go 7.75. So that was our review of The Invisible Man. We hope you enjoyed watching it. Make sure to go see it in a theater near you.
Personally, I think you can wait to watch it on video, but that's just my personal opinion. If you want to see more of us, Ben and John here at Cinema Gulp, you can look for us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And don't forget to keep your eyes open for more content coming soon.
Guys, who's got a scary story to tell?
Have you guys ever heard the one about the Spanish fly and the talking frog?
Too scary.
How about the one about the co-ed and the man with the hook?
Shit, we have no hook.
Welcome to Cinema Gulp. I'm Devin.
And I'm John.
And I'm Ben Tramer.
And this is our Gulp review of Halloween 2018.
You know, I was interested in why they were doing this remake. I didn't really...
Did you ever find out why?
No. In fact, you had a good... We should be calling this movie Halloween because, yeah, it doesn't really have a strong reason to exist. What they did with the story, I don't really love what they did with the story, but there were aspects of this movie that I enjoyed that I thought were fun to see kind of a slasher movie in 2018 because you don't get that kind of formula done well anymore. But yeah, I certainly had a lot of problems with this film, so...
I agree with you for that part. Like, it does have that formula that we don't see a lot, so it did feel nostalgic a little bit, even though it was trying really hard to piss me off, this movie, and go in directions I didn't want it to go. But yeah, I respect it for having
that slasher vibe, even though continuity-wise, I didn't really think there was anything really particularly new or interesting about it. And as far as the filmmaking goes, this is a very... I'm not going to hate on this movie, but this is a very unfocused movie. That's the biggest, broadest thing I can say. It's very unfocused.
I'm just going to flat out say it. I hated it. Wow. There were some things that I liked about it, but they were subtle. They were very subtle. Overall, this is a very forgettable movie for me. I was looking forward to it. You know, my birthday is October 30th, so I've always had a love for all things horror, horror movies. Halloween, the original, was one of the first horror movies I ever saw as a kid, and I loved it. Looking back on it, we noticed all these cheesy things about it, but it was a good foundation for other horror movies that followed it.
Oh yeah.
You know, and all the things I heard about this movie, I had high hopes, but
I think the editing was really choppy and poorly done. The writing's pretty terrible at times.
It's the direction that was bad. I couldn't tell where anybody was or where anything was in relationship to anything else. That's like the first thing you need to have right.
Yeah, in the beginning I thought they were trying to kind of play an homage to the original film and kind of have kind of a simplistic, stripped down style of filmmaking. For the first couple scenes, it kind of felt like maybe they were going that direction, especially with the intro, using the old title, you know, the old credits.
That's my favorite scene in the movie.
But there are some terrible things that happen, I think, in the third act that really ruin whatever you may have enjoyed with the setup of the story.
Oh, we're going to retcon aliens and put it back to number 2. I was like, stupid but interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This, too, it's like, oh, no Halloween movie exists. It's like, why? Why not? And this movie doesn't really explain why those others shouldn't exist.
No! I just want to get drunk.
They were thinking they're going to make a ton of money, and that they are going to do. This is going to have big box office, and because of that, the producers of this movie decided to put Michael Myers in every holiday movie between now and next Halloween.
So I hear all the big cinematic universes have now picked up the likeness of Michael Myers as well.
They had nods to the original film, and a lot of times what it was you were seeing something where Jamie Lee Curtis's character was kind of playing out something that Michael did from the original film. And sometimes it was interesting, sometimes it was groan-inducing, sometimes it was laugh-inducing. Never really fear-inducing. That's one thing this film does not do, is induce fear.
Let's talk about Jamie Lee Curtis for a second. She looks like a doll that you've pulled out of your old childhood box that you have had out up in the garage at the old family farm for about 50 years. And you're pulling it out to give it to your great-grandkid, and it just doesn't look the way it used to look. Its hair is all fucked up and frizzy. There's something about it. You almost feel like the doll just aged while it sat in that box. I love you, Jamie Lee Curtis. As a matter of fact, she was one of those like crushes I had where I was like, this is a chick, right? Like, I'm not like crushing on a dude, right? Like, I love her. I think she's amazing. I've always thought she's very talented and energetic. She was lousy in this movie, man. I think it was just her lines.
Was that the writing, though?
I think it was.
I thought her acting was terrible.
Yeah.
And I thought a lot of actors...
They didn't even try to edit around how bad the lines were coming out.
Yeah, it's a shame. I was not convinced in her character at all. I mean, she's supposed to kind of be a Sarah Connor to some degree, where she's spent all this time with all this knowledge that she knows.
But Sarah Connor saw the end of the world through a future.
Exactly.
She just went through watching some people die.
It was a murder.
She didn't watch anybody die.
I don't even think she saw anybody die. Well, even Michael's motive. Like, what is his motive with her? If they're going to retcon this and get rid of her being the sister or whatever, why is there even a connection to these two characters at all?
Spoiler alert, she's not his sister, she's his brother. Why retcon it? Like, there's nothing wrong with her being the sister. If all you're gonna do is like he still has a mark on her, but did he really? He was just killing other people in this movie. Did he really give a fuck about her at all? It doesn't even make sense. Like, she's kind of going after him for a little bit in this movie, but then she's running from him. Like, there's no narrative to this movie.
Why did she turn into fucking Burt Ward from Tremors? You know, why? I don't understand it. Don't get it.
Michael looked great in this movie.
Yeah,
the
he
look
did.
of his mask, the look of the actor playing him, his body, language, his body shape, because it's varied from movie to movie. But they did a great job. He was menacing. I really thought that there was some great shots, iconic kind of shots of him in this film.
There were some creepy moments where
Yeah.
he's with the mask. The mask was pretty creepy for this
mask
movie.
looks
I'll
good.
give it that.
It was one of the best masks. How did those fucking Brits get it?
Apparently they have evidence from the case. But
Fucking podcasters.
yeah.
You mean William Atherton? Yeah.
I was glad that it had the typical teenagers. I wasn't sure if we were just going to follow Laurie Strode as an older woman dealing with this and the doctors or whatever. I didn't know if we'd have our typical set of teenage victims, so I was glad that there was a group of teenage victims in this movie. I thought this movie was going to try and tell a different story and not just be a standard slasher movie in its template to some degree, but it really was.
He definitely came off creepy. Some of his victims were not maybe who you would expect, and in the beginning I thought, oh shit, this is going to be crazy.
I enjoyed Michael Myers. I enjoyed the sound design they gave him. They did go back to that breathing, which is always, to me, one of the scariest things about the original Halloween is when the movie's over, he disappears, spoilers for 78, when he disappears off the grass and everyone's kind of looking around, and then the camera just cuts to all these different spots that we've seen in the film, and his breathing is getting higher and higher and higher. That's the most effective fucking scare in the movie, is that very end, because where is he? He's still lurking. Is he in this house? Is he in this house? This movie goes back to that breathing. I think it did pick the right spots. If I have to say there's something that was very effective in this movie, was when they chose to use the sound design, because they're really, for a slasher movie, some of my positives, there's not a lot of jump scares in this movie.
No.
One thing I wanted to ask you guys about was the score, because that really bothered me in this movie. I noticed it early on. It didn't fit. There was something odd about the music going on in the background about this movie that just, it didn't fit for me. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I felt it was lacking in score at times. I mean, I know they specifically chose to have scenes that don't involve score, but they have other little nods to the previous films before.
There were closet scene, reverse parallels.
Yeah, which I found interesting. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of laughed at a couple of them.
I laughed at almost all of them. Yeah. Because the movie has fucking no scares. It's not scary. It's not tense. It's not anxiety driven. It doesn't make you fearful. It's not full of dread. So these fucking millennials die. What's new? It was very obvious when they were when you see his reflection in a window. They use the same shit that harkens right back to the original one. Anything that was just lifted straight from the original one is fine, but it was obvious. I like the last 20 minutes of this movie quite a bit. I like the last 20 minutes because it was the only time in the movie where I was almost like, you know what, I have to piss, but I guess I'll stay and see how it turns out. And then I was almost like, holy shit, I gotta piss really bad, but I'm kind of now hooked into this movie.
I'll tell you, there was a point where I was ready to walk out of this movie.
Me too.
I'm not going to mention the
twist.
scene, but if you see this movie, you will know what scene I'm talking about. I was ready to get the fuck up and leave.
Now, is this late or middle M. Night Shyamalan plot twist bad?
I agree with you guys. There's that moment. I wasn't ready to get up and walk out, but I was like, this movie just jumped the shark at that moment.
I'm surprised you said that, because I seriously was like, if this stays like this, I'm going to excuse myself from this theater.
Yep. No, I'm so glad that we're on the same page there, because I'm glad I'm not the only one, man. I was thinking,
wow, that
fuck
was bad,
this, man.
In retrospect, I get it, because it's different. It's different than the act, who you thought that person was just going to replace. It's kind of different, but it was bad, though. I was like, uh-oh.
I can't spoil it, but God, how the f*** did he carry that 250-pound guy with arm, that old man, and throw him in the back of the truck?
Just get it out.
God damn it. After he's shot in the shoulder and throw him in the back of a truck. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck this movie. I only sat through because it cost me $13 to fucking sit through it. My favorite part of the movie was the credits rolling, for fuck's sake.
How about the after credits scene?
Oh yeah, we had a great surprise at the end of the credits.
It works visually as something like maybe Trick or Treat, which I think is a far superior film to this, but because it's not really a scary movie, but it invokes the holiday a little bit.
Yep.
And I do think that this movie is called Halloween, and it does take place on Halloween, and there's Halloween things. There's maybe not as many as I would have liked, but there was a Halloween vibe to this movie. If you watch the original, there's barely anything in There's barely... The trick-or-treaters are done, before it's even dark. You don't even see anything. They're carving a pumpkin. Like, a lot of stuff in the first one doesn't make any sense. They're like, oh, let's make popcorn and carve a pumpkin, but it's supposed to be like midnight and there's no people left. Like, so why are you carving a pumpkin to put out in the middle of the night? Look at what we're doing tonight. We're in the festive mood of Halloween. It does have that, but as a horror movie, it's not a scary movie.
Well, and anybody who's spent a night at home on Halloween night recently in the last 10, 15 years, there are no kids trick-or-treating anymore. Kids do not do that anymore.
Would you agree that the millennials in this movie were a lot less annoying with like techno gadgets? It's almost like they made it a throwback. Because like, yeah, they have a cell phone. He throws a cell phone in the thing. Yeah. This movie literally just scrapes all that away, and I appreciated that. Like, every character, they don't have cell phones that they use. There's hardly even references to that stuff.
Yeah. I was kind of disappointed there were no titty scenes in this movie, though. I mean, you gotta have that.
Can't do it anymore, man. Yeah. You can't do it anymore.
Can't treat women that way. Come on, man.
You can thank Harvey Weinstein
for
not
right?
showing any gratuitous nudity in horror movies.
I do think it's the goriest Halloween movie, and I enjoyed that. I thought there were some great kills in this movie. Some that do stand out to me, I think. I think there were some effective moments of slasher movie making. I mean, I have big issues with how this movie was filmed, but yeah. I do think there was a couple scenes when you first start really kind of getting the slasher element of this movie going that really worked for me. Not to be scary, but still worked as like when you're on the killer side and you're not really rooting for the person who's about to get killed. Some hits and some misses, more misses than hits. I'm gonna give this a 5.5.
Michael Myers looked great in this movie. That's one of the highlights, is that he does look menacing. The problem is the filmmakers just didn't utilize the shape coming out of the shadows, where we're following the girl who's, you know, I'm not saying she has to be taking a shower, but is that too much to fucking ask for? He's doing laundry or making popcorn and he's just fucking staring at her in the window. Like, you don't get those in this. You get too much point of view of him, and that kind of takes away the tension. I didn't connect with it. It was very unfocused, and I'm very disappointed to say that, because I wanted to love this movie. There's some good stuff in this movie to see. There it is. There's good kills. Is it David Gordon Green? He's cool. He's got good comic timing on his comedies. I think they should have picked a better director, or not a better, but a director more suited for something like this. So I gotta go right down the middle, 5 gulps for me.
This movie was flat as fuck for me. I don't know why it had to be made. I found myself laughing a lot more than I was scared. I was not scared at all during this movie. You both said, I'll reiterate, no tension, no scares. It was very flat. I think the writing was poor. The acting was poor, probably a result from the shitty writing. There were some cool death scenes. I'll give it that. But overall, the movie was just flat. It was forgettable. I have no interest in seeing this movie again. I give this movie 3 gulps. I think that's the lowest score I've ever given. 3 gulps. And I think I'm being generous on that.
Wow.
That was a scary story.
That story was so scary, Devin, I gotta clean the excrement out of my shorts. John, how scary was that story?
A lot scarier than the movie. I'm over here standing in a puddle.
And that is our gulp review of Halloween 2018.
Anything can happen on Halloween. Your dog could turn into a cat.
On the list of favorite movies of all time, where does Aliens from 1986, directed by James Cameron, rank?
The top of the mountain, the pinnacle of everything there is cinema. This is the greatest achievement ever put to celluloid. No film has ever surpassed Aliens. And I wish, well, I don't wish, because I love Aliens so much, I don't want any film to really beat it. But every new movie I watch with the eyes to hope maybe this will be the one that lives up to be better than Aliens, or at least in the same ballpark.
You want movies to strive to be as good as Aliens.
Yes.
And I agree with you.
The dedication that James Cameron had making this movie, like just the way, the details in this movie, the way it builds on the first movie and lives up to be a better film in my opinion. I mean, obviously I'm a big fan of Alien as well, but Aliens is the better film between the two, in my opinion. I have no trouble saying that. I know some people struggle with how they feel on that. I did see Aliens first, being a young 10-year-old. I think I was actually 11 at the time. It took me to home video before I got to see it. I did not get to see it in the theater because I was only 11, and that wasn't really the kind of film my mom was taking me to see. But I finally got a chance to see it over at our dear old pal Tony's house, which, you know, he was a little bit older than us, or a little bit older than me at the time. So he was always able to see these kind of films before I did. And he would actually share, you know, things about R-rated movies that I wasn't able to see. And I was like hanging on the edge of my seat to hear every detail he could share with me about this movie specifically. And I remember being in a Noggles and him explaining the movie to me. And when he got to the stuff about the Queen and Bishop being ripped in half, I mean, I was just like salivating to hear more about this movie. And it just sounded so cool. It sounded like the best thing ever. And he was really high on it because he had got to see it in the theater. So it took months before it was on video and he could share it with me at that point. And, you know, never looked back. It was just such an amazing movie. Nothing has ever been able to come close to, only other James Cameron films have come close to supplanting it at the top of the mountain.
I was 9, and I actually, my experience for the first time is different than yours. Whereas I didn't know anything about it. No one said, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And you're 9. I mean, your memory is so fucking weird at that point anyway. God bless him. My cousin Jeremy took me and my brother. My cousin was, I think, 17. So he got us in. We saw it in the theater at one of my favorite theaters growing up, which was the Orange Cinedome. Nice. And a big theater, like 800 and some odd seats, big domed, curved screens, kind of revolutionary for the time. Mm-hmm. That movie scared the fuck out of me so bad. I remember, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know it was a sequel like yourself. I immediately attached myself and my emotions to the Hudson character. He calmed the situations down. I mean, we'll get into that stuff, but that's one of the things I remember the most, is being so frightened and loving this guy because he's funny, and it gives you a second to breathe, you know? But the thing I remember the most is going home, because my cousin was babysitting us, and I had to have my cousin and my brother go through the entire house and scope it out to make sure there was no aliens in there, because I would not go inside the house. That's how much this movie freaked me. When people say it's not a horror movie, it's an action movie, I laugh. I go, are you nuts? It's way scarier than the first movie.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm always a little bit annoyed at everyone saying that this is the action movie version of Aliens.
And it is, but, you know, it's still scary as a motherfucker.
It is, but there is no action for an hour. Like, yeah, that's like a sin in an action movie. That's a sin. So I don't know. I think it's just an all around perfect movie. Yes, it has action in it, but I look at it just as a sci-fi movie. A sci-fi.
Isn't that so great? He really does. I don't want to say pay homage, because that's not the right term, but he respects the first movie so much. He knows he wants to make something completely different, but he respects it so much that tonally, both of the movies, the first hour is slow and it's intelligent and it's regular people with good dialogue, because he wants you to care about what happens to the people. And Aliens, when I was a kid and I saw it, I remember just being wall to wall nonstop action. And when you get a little bit older and you start rewatching it, you're like, oh wow, there's really like no action for a very long time, because it's investigating things, it's creating the story, it's creating the characters, and it's building things up. I think he did that on purpose. You know, a director like James Cameron could have jumped into action sooner, but he wanted to be more like the first movie, where takes its time, you know? I mean, at least that's my theory. I don't know.
No, I agree with that completely. I think that's one of the things that he did so well, was capturing that same tone that the first movie has, and the buildup of the tension, and you know how the tension builds and releases throughout the first film. They both inhabit the same world, which often when you have a different director coming in to do a sequel, you can, unless the first one didn't really have a director's stamp, like it's a Marvel movie or something where it's more part of a machine. It's rare that a different director can come in and make a sequel that still feels so tonally the same as the previous film. Like most people
just look at the other two sequels.
Well, that's what hurts.
They
the
don't
other
feel
two
like
people.
they inhabit the same world to me at all.
No. I mean, I do give the third film credit for staying serious and having the serious tone that the first two has.
Yeah.
But the story lacks, and that's the problem. He just builds on the world that the world in the first film left us with so many mysteries, and the second film builds on that first film but doesn't ruin any of the mystery of the first film. In fact, it creates new, there's new facets of the alien world that you learn, like their life cycle, which to me was always one of the most interesting things about just coming out of Alien. Like even without having seen Alien, because I don't think I saw Alien till a year or two after Aliens. It was definitely after, and I'd already seen Aliens a number of times to really take it in and fall in love with it as the story and the creature and everything that you learn about in that film.
Yeah.
But the creepiness of the life cycle of going inside of a human and gestating and coming out of a human, like that sticks with you at any age. The stuff about the Queen, it takes it in a different direction, but still is just like, you never lose how creepy their life cycle is, but you learn so much more about them as a creature in the second film.
Yeah.
But then the mystery that we all still wanted from the first film still remained, which was like, where did they come from? And what was this space jockey? And you had to wait till Ridley Scott ruined that many years later and just made a muddled story out of that cool mystery that was still there with the first two films. That's why together they're so wonderful that they didn't ruin anything, that neither film, fucked with the mythology of the other film in a way that ruined anything. And it wasn't until later sequels that they just started piling new shit on that was ruining what came before.
James Cameron took these interesting questions that probably nobody would have ever thought were that important. And, that derelict ship is still there. There's more stories to tell. All we got was this little piece. Like that, to me, that's just like genius, because it's not like the studio was like, let's make a sequel. This was a guy who saw the movie and was like, I want to write something. Think about that. Like being the guy that wrote something based off something that they saw and made a sequel that didn't just expand on it, made it stronger, made it scarier, made it more interesting, and to me, much more entertaining. As much as I love Alien and respect it and admire it for what it is, it's not the most entertaining movie in the world, at least not compared to stuff like Aliens.
It is an action movie, and so it brought that element to an already fascinating story, like the most fascinating creature to ever grace the screen. I mean, you have Draculas and werewolves and Creature of the Black Lagoon and Jaws, and it doesn't matter. You can pile on every monster that's ever graced the screen. This is the best one. Well, maybe not the facehugger itself, but every single facet of this creature and how it evolves. It's so much more interesting, frightening, believable, like the way it comes to life on screen in those first two films. I mean, they ruin it with sequels, but in the first two films, in Aliens, another thing that really always stuck with me as an 11-year-old seeing this movie, how believable the creatures are on screen. I honestly still to this day like to think of the Queen Alien as a real creature that existed, that like they really filmed that animal running around and doing shit because it looks so damn believable. And the aliens themselves jumping from wall to wall, they feel so real. And not just because they are tactile things and not made of CGI, but they bring them to life in a character way. Stan Winston, working on these characters after what Geiger created, brought them to life even in a way the first film didn't. Because the first film's a little bit, it's totally creepy and stuff, but it's a little bit clunky in the way that it moves compared to how scary it gets when it's hopping off of walls and running down a hallway at you so much quicker than anything you see in the first film.
It's fascinating that there was 6 rubber suits, 6 alien suits to make it seem like they're everywhere. And that's in cutting. But it's also in like a director whose vision is so far beyond when you're standing on set, like trying to explain to them like, hey, yes, there's 6 guys here, but these things are fucking everywhere. What's your favorite design out of Facehugger, Chestburster?
I think they call him Alien Warrior.
Warrior, yeah. And then
Or
you have
Sentry.
the runner ones, which were like from like part 3, that are
Like
just
part
kind
3.
of
And then
early CGI.
and then Queen, because I think that's all of them, right?
Yeah, I mean the Queen is probably, well, the classic Alien
Is the warrior.
Mama! Come to mama, baby. Come on. Mom, you've been bad.
Yeah, the classic Alien is, I guess, kind of my favorite because there's just more imagery of that. It seems scarier because like the Queen you wouldn't think the Queen could sneak up on you, but the classic Alien can be hiding in that tiny little alcove that you didn't see. It can be like, we haven't seen what a Queen looks like meshed into the wall and not knowing it's there standing behind you.
Yeah.
Now, if I see some of that where they pull that off, maybe the Queen will feel like it deserves the spot. But
the scariest thing about the Queen is the tail, for sure, because it utilizes that fucking tail where the other ones don't, you know?
Well, the intro to the Queen, when you walk into its hive the first time, and how big the headpiece is, it just looks so much. It looks so massive. When it finally breaks free from its egg sac and starts moving through the hallways, it's diminished a little bit. It's still frightening. And the battle with Ripley
to scale, it doesn't look quite as big. There's a little forced perspective when you first see it, I think.
Yeah, and it has like these extra bone structures coming off the side that I guess are not part of it, but it looks like it in that main shot where you first reveal it. It looks
that
so
is
much
really
bigger.
creepy. Yeah, it just kind of turns into an alien with a different kind of head after. It's still bigger.
Yeah,
but you're right. It does, like, I think that's all part of like the birthing structure or something of like how the babies. I don't know. I don't remember if it was Basky or Frost who meets their ends by that alien that jumps off the wall and like pulls them back, and then the flamethrower goes off.
That's Dietrich.
Oh, that's Dietrich. Oh, God damn it. That's the scene right there. That's the scene that like
flamethrowers Frost, and Frost drops the ammo bag, and then there's explosions that kill.
When that thing jumps out, that's where you're like, this is not Alien. Like, this is a different movie. I just want to bring up the budget for this movie, John, because $18 million for a movie that looks like it cost $200 million. You know?
Well, you can compare it to any $200 million production today, and it would look better and work better in its storytelling, in its fright factor, in its excitement factor. That, I think, you know, that's all credit, not all credited, but mostly credited to James Cameron, in my opinion. He must have robbed some banks to put what's up on screen, because it certainly, as you said, feels like there's way more than 18 million put into. Just look at the shot behind you. That's all done with models, and it looks so real. It looks like a real, you know, space with depth, and every ship looks functional. Every piece of equipment in this movie, which all still to this day is some of the coolest machinery, ships, you know, guns and whatnot that have been brought to the screen, and they're all very functional, feel like, you know, they're real. Those guns are like, we all really want those guns to exist in this world.
Oh my God.
Everything from the movie Aliens. I want everything from the movie Aliens to be a part of the world I live in.
What did you ever hear about? What was the deal behind the Sulaco physically being shaped as a pulse rifle? Because when you see the Sulaco, the exterior of it, it even has a fucking handle. It even has like a, you know, like a trigger, pretty much. It looks exactly like a pulse rifle. I think, and that's just the badass nature of how Cameron wanted to introduce the Marines, and that it's not a freighter with a bunch of pussies on it. You know, it's like it's a bad ship, looks like a gun, you know?
Yeah, I always thought it definitely looked more military than the Nostromo.
Which was not a military ship. Yeah.
The way it's introduced, when you're seeing like the front of it moving across the face of the planet and stuff, it has kind of a battleship. I don't know exactly which naval ship I should say it looks the most like, but it has kind of a naval ship feeling to it, which made it more militarized.
But anyway, this movie went on to do $85 million in the US, which doesn't sound like a lot these days, but it's more than quadruple its budget, which means it was a success. 120 million worldwide, which is kind of shocking considering it was filmed in London. I figured maybe they would go see it, but maybe they didn't give a shit. I don't know. But pretty big success for R-rated movie in 1986, I would think. And then didn't it get Sigourney an Oscar nomination?
She got an Oscar nomination, one of the first for a film of this kind, you know,
Yeah.
science fiction or action, whatever you want to label it as.
Who'd she
Apparently,
lose out
because
to?
it's not a drama with a bunch of sappy bullshit.
Who'd she lose out to? Do you know?
Oh, she lost out to Marlee Matlin for the deaf actress. I forget what movie, but
A movie that no one has ever heard of again.
Yeah, honestly, like in hindsight, I guarantee most people would pick Sigourney's performance.
Nowadays, yeah.
It's
Well,
so
hindsight, yeah.
so believable in a scenario that is, you know, so impossible for anyone to ever really find themselves in. And this whole movie is so believable. That's what it is. It's the tone of this movie and how believable everything feels, from the acting to the, you know, the creatures on screen. Every image feels real. Like
every environment feels lived in.
Yeah.
I mean, even Ripley's apartment in on the space station or whatever, like it just feels, there's things in the corners and there's used soap bars in the bathroom, like so lived in. And
there's a half-eaten donut on the
the half-eaten donut. That donut would be pretty, well, I guess it was being soaked in water because of the dripping was coming down, but I'm like, that donut should have been pretty moldy. But okay, so this movie starts out with a brilliant title scene. I love it. It's scary. It's got that Horner, just that vibe to some of the spookier stuff that he does. And then we see, I always forget the name of this ship, but it has a name. The
Narcissus.
The Narcissus. Yeah. See, John knows. So this movie starts out and it's the aftermath of Alien, but we don't know anything else yet.
I feel like it used to be a trope that a lot of sequels felt like they had to begin right where the last film left off. You know, a lot of movies nowadays put some time in between their films and develop the story that happened in between, but it seemed almost like a trope back in the day of like, start right where the last one left off. And this one pretty much does. I mean, yes, 57 years have passed, but for our main character, it's like no time has passed. So it's pretty much right where that story left off, which is really cool. Like you don't feel like you've missed anything. Then you realize you have, that 57 years have passed, and it kind of blows your mind. You like, if you're watching these movies back to back and you hear that information for the first time that she hears, she doesn't look any older. You just watched the first movie and now you're watching the second one and you're ready to see what's going to happen next for her. And you hear that amount of years that Burke tells her. And then it instantly goes into her reaction, which is all taking place in a dream. You think that she's just like having this bad reaction to it and trying to process that information. But then you start getting the chest burster, you know, pushing its way through and her freaking out, the cat hissing. The tension in that opening scene is the only thing we get for a while, and it sustains you. Like you are already on the edge of your seat in the first 5 minutes because of that little dream sequence, and that sustains you until an hour into the movie before anything else happens.
Well, the fact that you do find out that information in a dream, which you find out is a dream, I remember thinking, well, is it really 57 years or was that just part of the dream? Because without the cut scenes that are in the director's cut, they don't address that again. I mean, they address that she used to be a flight officer and like now she's forgotten or whatever in the system. But the scene with the daughter stuff really hammers home the point that it was 57 years. Because when you get that exposition and then you find out she's dreaming, a little bit of you is like, well, wait a minute, is that real? Or is she reliving something she already knew? No, it was for the audience to learn that, but then it was within a dream.
That's the biggest loss, in my opinion, from the cut scenes. I kind of feel like that little bit of information, how important that is to her character development with Newt, even though you don't need it, like you still connect to that relationship between her and Newt without that scene in the theatrical cut. But I wish that's the one scene I wish was part of the theatrical cut that's part of the special edition.
No one either believes her or just doesn't care about her story. Would you really care, though, if you're a company like Weyland-Yutani and 57 years ago a shipment blew up? It's like, I don't know.
Well, I think they don't forget about lost money.
My bitch better have my money.
So then they bring in Burke to sort of like butter her up, right? And who better than Paul Reiser, who doesn't get enough credit for this movie, dude?
No, he sells every scene he needs to. When, like you said in the beginning, being able to butter her up and kind of be the only friend that she has in this new environment. Somebody who believes her story, obviously believes it enough to fucking kill everybody, get every character of this movie essentially killed because of his stupidity on having them check out the ship. But
that's the thing. You really like him at first, and if you know Paul, I had already known Paul Reiser from like Beverly Hills Cop and a couple of other things, and you're like, what a likable actor to get to play this sniveling weasel, and he sells those parts so good, especially the part where he's like, you had your chance, Gorman, and he seems like he's so on Ripley's side.
Yeah,
it's kind of like devastating to find out what he's up to, because he's such a team player to an extent, not like physically, but
his performance deserves a lot of credit, as you pointed out.
And you know how I talked about like the scene where the alien jumps out of the wall and goes after Basky? Was it Basky? Is that what we said? No, yeah. It jumps.
No. I'm sorry,
Dietrich. Sorry.
Yeah.
I said that's the scene where this is an alien, this is aliens. There's also a scene before that that's more subtle, and that's the introduction of the Colonial Marines when we see the Sulaco. But when those things open and it's the Marines right there, you kind of already know, wow, this is a different crew. This is a vastly different crew, and it's shot and edited very different too.
Everybody's introduction, what little moments they get to do in all of those intro scenes, whether it's Apone putting a cigar in his mouth
immediately.
Hudson talking about how cold the floor is, Drake giving that snide comment about, you look, hey, Hicks, you look just like I feel, like everyone's introduced so perfectly. And that's just the first few people that you see actually get out of the pod. And then when they make their way into the locker room, you get those great moments with Vasquez's introduction. You ever been mistaken for a man? Really, everyone just gets like gets a line to establish almost every single character.
We were talking about like he takes his first hour just the way Alien did. And this is why, because it's so rewarding. Like when they get their ass kicked in that first scene, it like means something already, because oh wow, it's like they're marrying craning all these characters that like I thought were going to be in more of it, And there were so many more characters in this one too. That's a big difference. And it's harder to juggle that kind of stuff with a way bigger cast.
But that's what I think they do a great job, is with that big cast, with this whole collection of Marines that could all kind of blend in and be like the same machismo guy. They all stand out in their own way. There's only two that don't really get the opportunity. And
think about how many memorable characters were created out of that giant cast. So many memorable characters, and who never felt shortchanged. I mean, a lot of them, Oh my God, the submersive nature of the dropship. When I was a kid, when you're a kid, the movie theater screen seems 50 times bigger than it does when you're an adult. It almost feels like you're on a roller coaster ride. And this scene, the way it was shot, with all that different depth of field of how like it opens and you see. I don't know. I mean, they don't show space a lot in this movie, but when they do, it feels like that empty vat of darkness, which is what it is. It's not bright and it's not colorful. It's literally just, we got to get out of the ship and we got to get to this atmosphere as quick as we can. And just everything from the close-up shots of the people to the sound design and the way the ship drops out. And you see how scared everyone is and how Hudson's trying to be tough, like that scene just blew my fucking mind when I was a kid. Just blew it away. I loved it.
And that's another great one for character introduction. Like we get to kind of learn a few more people's faces as they're going around. They're checking the people's monitors.
Yeah.
Drake's panning his camera, because it's,
smacks it. Yeah.
Smacks it.
Does it look wonky when the drop ship is kind of like touching down an LV-426? I love the way it looks.
Great.
That exactly right. It's a model composited in an environment. It looks perfect. I mean, and it looks exactly how I remember seeing it when I was young, and no nitpicky about it. It's creepy, and it shows you this area that, like, I guess was built, between the first and second movie, and it's just this dark, rich spooky environments, you know, like who would build something like that? It's terrifying. Even if aliens didn't fucking like there's something about Hadley's Hope that's just
No,
the tank have a name, you would know.
the APC.
APC, yeah, the APC, sorry. That thing is badass visually. Unfortunately, it doesn't do much, you know, like I mean it does, but it doesn't get to
I think it
its
does
guns.
just enough. Like,
I wish it just used its cool guns though, you know, but I get why.
but seeing how the gun comes, that the turret moves off the back,
Yeah,
so
so
it
it
can
can get
lower
through it. It's so
thing,
cool.
that's
But like
really
all that stuff, like the Marines getting out, getting in their formation, and now you're like, okay, these guys aren't just goofballs. When it gets down to business, they know what they're doing. They're in sync. You know, finding all the test what do you call this? The test
tubes that have
tanks
the-
or whatever with all the face huggers in them. How cool is that? Because when that's the first thing you see in this movie, aliens, since the first movie, and you see a whole bunch of them, and you're like, oh, that's the thing that started it all in this first movie. All that stuff works, and it's all build up and shit. You know, like there's so much going into them landing before you actually get into the big battle stuff, and it's all good, rewatchable shit.
The characters are so great, and the dialogue, you know, there's quotable lines all throughout, whether it's just stuff that I don't even know what they're referring to, just military jargon sometimes, that the way it's said by Apone or by Pharaoh when they're in the dropship, I'm in the pike 5x5, like you pointed out how great a character Frost was. He only gets a couple lines, but like that line about, I guess she doesn't like the cornbread either.
It's great.
You know, it's great humor.
Boy's got a corn cob up his ass.
Yeah, exactly. Like it brings that tone perfectly from film 1 to film 2, but you get all this humor. I think Apone, Frost, Hudson, Vasquez, Drake, there's humor all throughout. All these characters are dropping lines that actually genuinely make you laugh and make you fall in love with them in that first 45 minutes before, you know, anything really starts to get too intense. It's intense the whole way through because all you need to do is know this thing's going to be there when you get down. The hand thing leads into Ripley learning that there is an android sitting right next to her that she had no clue. And if you know the first movie, that is a scary thought right in that moment. That white milky blood comes down his finger, and the focus to Sigourney's face, and
she plays it so good the way she gets up, and
that realization in her head is as powerful.
Let's get into the next scene, which is the hive. This is the scene where, for me, I don't know. I have 4 favorite scenes, but this might be the scariest one to me because it's the first time you see what's happening, and it's a massacre.
Well, so as you pointed out, it's kind of a long scene. If you take from like the moment that they find the colonists' readouts or whatever, and they realize, okay, we're going to go in and check this out. From the time they get there and they're suited up and they got their guns and they're moving inside of the complex like that, to the moment that one jumps off the wall and attacks and the shit hits the fan, really to when they escape. I mean, it's a long drawn out scene.
Yeah.
But you've been building to it. It's you know, a long wait to get to that moment, so it's deserved. It's not just the tension that builds all the way up to the point that they go inside. You know, all this introduction of characters and making their way, the drop ship and everything, that's all building. But the actual maneuvering their way through and seeing the cocooned walls for the first time, the reveals of that, you know, aided by
and seeing how the environment has turned kind of alien, like
you go from like the background behind me where the metal is still,
and then you see that beautiful Geiger type of, and it's kind of hard to fit. Does that just happen? Does it just manifest where they are? You know what I mean? Like,
no, I picture like a bug, them, you know, moving around the wall, like making that stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
creating that.
That's
we've
so
never seen
creepy.
that, so we're not sure. That's just
and we don't need to see it. It's great that it's just there, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's just enough dialogue to support it. It looks secreted, but secreted from what? Okay, done.
Yeah.
They're like bugs. They're like insects. That's all I need.
They're getting deeper and deeper into this thing and realizing that they're not safe.
They were told they had to put their weapons away, and that essentially got most of them killed. But I think they probably could have used their weapons in there. I mean, maybe that's the way we're supposed to see it. Is
Well,
that
because
people
then
like
when
Burke
Vasquez and
Gorman-
Drake do, the place still doesn't blow up, you know. So they were wrong. They could have used them.
But that's so great about Gorman. I love Gorman's character.
I love Gorman too.
His acting in those scenes where he's not sure of himself, but trying to show that he should be in command of these people.
Owns it. He owns it
so well. And then later in the film, when people need to be or in that scene when he's getting nervous and losing control of the situation and trying to still control Ripley when he has no clue what to even do.
Gorman and Ripley like have this fight basically because she's going to save them, and he would rather crash the APC than go in and save these people, which later we know that ultimately he has a great character arc and realizes that and changes that and tries to do something to correct that. But that is that's a really nerve-wracked officer right there who would rather crash that thing than go in and save the team who's getting massacred.
Instead of just having a confident leader, you know, you have a Pone who's a confident leader, boots on the ground type of leader who gets taken out quickly. If Gorman was a confident leader as well, I don't know, they're just the dynamic, there's so many interesting dynamics throughout the film, whether it's his dynamic with the rest of the soldiers, his dynamic with Burke, his dynamic with Ripley. It just plays so well.
I think what makes that the most like tense and frightening experience for me in the movie, though there's other ones too, don't get me started on the infirmary, you know, like that one is, but I think it's that like and again, you were talking about before we started this how many movies have like ripped off aliens, and one of the main things you see, and you see this a lot nowadays, is you have monitors of people on the monitors. So you have their head cams, and then you see them getting picked off via the head cam turning into just a fuzzy screen. And like this one, I guarantee you, was probably the first movie that ever did that, where you know who's getting picked off because you see their name and then goes to static.
Bio readout.
But the dialogue that's happening, and you were talking about Frost having these good lines. He says one of the gnarliest things off screen when they're going back and forth and cutting between what's happening is when they're going like, hey, they're here, they're all around us, and he goes, where, man? I can't see shit. Like that, right? That's just putting you in their shoes and going, we are so hopeless. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where these things are. And then coming out of the goddamn walls is crazy and terrorizing too. But.
Terrorizing. James Horner does a lot to make this movie. Like, he really is kind of, I don't know, it's hard to say who the secondary star behind James Cameron is, because the score does a lot of work. Like, it hits at the exact perfect moment. He sells every moment that's supposed to be scary with you know what typically would be a terrible jump scare, where the music is really the only thing that's making this a jump scare because it's a loud noise. The marriage of image and score all throughout this movie, especially in the moments that are supposed to make you jump, are perfection. It comes back to what you were talking about, the way it's edited. Instead of being this big grand action scene where you can actually tell what's happening to each character, it's shot through those monitors so often, but it's still so effective. People call this one of the greatest action movies ever. Well, that scene is kind of lacking. It's exciting, but it's lacking in visual like action. There's no hand-to-hand combat or anything like that. You get a couple aliens getting shot. You get a couple people getting pulled away this way or that way.
If those guys weren't wearing military tactical gear and they were just people like teenagers, then people would call that a horror scene.
Exactly.
But because those guys are Marines, they considered it an action scene.
Yeah.
Imagine that though, when you're looking at that monitor and it's showing all the people's helmets, how much work goes into, we have to shoot each one of those scenes because you're going to see aliens in the background and people shoot. So you have to shoot an action scene just so it could be in a tiny little square up in one part of like a multi-square, like fucking display. That's just insane to me.
As soon as a Pone gets attacked, it's cutting back to Gorman's face and realizing, holy shit, I just lost the leader of this group. What do we do now?
Yeah.
And, you know, Ripley's reaction to that, like shaking him, do something, Gorman, like that's what makes that stuff so exciting. And then, you know, just as you said, like having to shoot these scenes on the monitors and cutting back to them versus whether you're seeing Gorman's face, and then you cut back and you see, like, you know, Hicks running by with his shotgun, out of the way, like just a moment. You just need tiny moments.
Charges guns, get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
We're running, we're shooting, we're hiding, we're running. Like, quick cutting.
It's a monster movie.
This is where you get an even better idea of who Hicks is, what his relationship with Ripley could have, should have, would have been. A little more into Hudson, a lot more into Newt. Gorman, yeah, I guess is kind of sleeping through most of it.
Yeah.
Bishop, Vasquez, and then you get your Burke's plan. So much in this middle point of the movie happens. So you have like the revealing of Burke's plan. You have the scene that happens obviously in the medical area with the face huggers being planted. But then you also have like them sending Bishop out on like his claustrophobic. I can't even watch that scene when he's climbing through that tunnel. I can't even fucking look at that. It makes me so claustrophobic.
It keeps it more claustrophobic, just knowing that he goes straight down that tube and there's no break in it at all.
And I love that he has that specific mission, and that they like whatever we talk about this with James Cameron all the time. He always knows. Well, and this is his editors too, but they know how to cut back to everything that's happening right at the perfect moment when you need it to, because now there's a ticking clock thing, and sometimes that can make or break, like a finale of a movie, like a ticking clock thing. Does it work? Does it not work? His thing works for me. I like how they show it, and he kind of like telegraphs the time it's going to take for such and such to happen. So now they're on that thing. All they got to do is survive until that thing comes down.
The face huggers getting released. I honestly, Ben, I've never sat back and thought, what is my favorite scene of this movie? Because I just love it so much as an entire production. But I could maybe say that one is my favorite because
it's gnarly,
it is
man.
So scary. And I feel like you get some really wonderful hero moments. Ripley is so smart. I love a smart hero, somebody who has to think through the problem and doesn't have time to think, but she's still able to come up with, inventive ways to try and get herself out of this situation.
Smoke detector, yeah.
She does. And then, it's the sound design and the cinematography. Again, that combination of sound or score and image all in that scene. It just works so wonderfully to ramp up the tension all throughout when you don't know where the creature is and you hear it scuttle here and there.
Or how about when she wakes up under the bed and she sees the sort of jar moving and it's got a little bit of residue on it. That James Horner, like, just, I don't know what that instrument is, that little peppery thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is basically like, that's like the theme song of a face hugger, even though it wasn't in the first one. And you haven't really seen face huggers move around like this until this point. All you saw was them jump out of something and then die, and then they were in jars. Now you're seeing like they're fucking tactical and gnarly and fast and strong. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, how believable it is when Ripley's trying to fight the tail going on her neck and holding it, trying to keep it from getting any closer to her face. Eventually you have the Marines in there with her helping try and pull it. Like, they sell that. So again, that's why I feel like these creatures come to life in a way that is so realistic. Like, you really feel how strong this thing would be. I mean, just looking at it, you can tell it would be hard these would be strong little arms. This tail could get around your neck very easily and choke you. And it's so believable in the film, done with like fishing wire and stuff being shot backwards and just actors giving it their all in that scene to make it feel that much of a fight. I love when they shoot the glass, Hicks dives through it, like just the way that looks and sounds, even when they're hitting the glass before it breaks, like that just sounds, it sells it to me, to an 11-year-old brain, of unbreakable glass. Like, you see her hit it with a chair and it bounces off. Like, I don't even know if there's glass nowadays that works that well.
It's
but
like space shuttle glass or some shit.
It's all in the sound design. But then when they dive through it and you get Hicks, jumping in there and fighting with Ripley to get the thing off. Hudson goes over and has his moment where he gets to push the thing against the wall with his leg and machine gun the hell out of that one.
I love that so much. He's just
Everybody
wasting
just
so much ammo.
Yeah. And even Newt being able to be smart in the moment and push the whatever thing that it's on top of, the little rolling rack.
She's the last survivor, so she's a badass. I don't know if those heroic moments or selfish, I'm scared moments, so I'm gonna hide. But either way, she's the last survivor, so she's definitely a survivor.
I think she's a hero mostly.
Mostly.
It's kind of their last stand.
Yeah.
Where the aliens start to come out of the ceiling. Oh my God, that scene. Ugh.
Oh, well, you know what we forgot to talk about in the hive scene, but it comes into play here as well. Another thing that this movie implements that, yes, the first movie had a version of it, but this movie
movement
does it so much better. The motion tracker.
Movement, yeah.
Just to see these little blips move closer and there'll be more of them. And then the thing spins, like the way that it spins, you can tell they're all around us. Like it just sells it so well without, less is more. This movie does one of the best jobs ever in cinema of implementing less is more.
Because it's such a pivotal part of kind of that last stand scene where he's like 5 meters, 4, what the hell? Like that's the scene where and again, just the the sound, it's almost like it's its own ticking clock to your demise right there, and you don't know where they're coming from or how many are coming, it's, oh my God. And then just the decision, don't make it an action giant, like bring the tension back down and have Hicks go up with that flashlight. Don't keep the music going, calm it down. And then he goes up there, the music drops, goes up there. I don't think there's music yet at that point anyway, but he brings the flashlight up and then you see them and then the music kicks in. It's like, that's so much better than just like, oh, we got to get up there and look. It's this calm. It's a scene where they almost know we're fucked.
You see the brain's work of like, well, how can that be? You're reading it. You must be reading it wrong. That's inside the room.
See, I do want to see a deleted scene where the aliens cut the power. I want to see that though, man. How could they cut the power, man? They're animals. That'd be great if you just see like 2 aliens like and like snipping a wire.
There's a couple scenes that I think people complain about in terms of like, oh, are the aliens actually intelligent or not? The ending where the Queen rides an elevator up, and then this scene where they cut the power. As you love to point out, only 6 rubber costumes, and they make it feel like a room full of aliens coming over every cabinet, dropping out of the ceiling multiple times. You feel the terror in everyone in that scene of just, you're in this tiny room you thought was going to be your last stand, and the entire ceiling collapsed in with your enemy right in front of you now.
You sometimes do your best work when you have the least to work with that you would ever have again. I like Avatar. It's fine. It's still James Cameron. It's fantastic. But like when you compare that scene, any scene in Aliens where there's more than one alien in the room, the constraints of 6 rubber suits is such a blessing in disguise, because when you look at the excessive nature of something like Avatar and that there's shit all over the screen, beautiful shit, but shit nonetheless, just everywhere. If you had the ability to do what you did in Avatar with aliens, would you show us 500 of them charging like they did in like Alien versus Predator, some just CGI mess scene of aliens running up the temple? It's like, it's so great that you never get that opportunity to even think of that scene. You only can have maybe one. I don't even know if you see more than 2 aliens on frame together at the same time in this movie, Well, it's just implied through the editing.
In the ceiling, I think there's about 4 or
3.
5.
There's 3 or 4. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. That's the most you see. Yeah. But then everything else is just, it's cuts. It's the way the actors are like, oh, there's one over there. The way they're looking around is telling you how many there are, That's, yeah.
It's a masterclass of editing. I mean, you being an editor, how important, it really, a filmmaker can be crap and hand footage over to an editor and get a good movie out of it somehow, because the editor, pieces it together in a way that makes it not what the filmmaker intended. It can be exciting or whatever. I'm sure Cameron, was very involved in exactly every cut that he wanted to see in this movie, but it goes back to your point of like being able to work with very little. He was early in his career, he had a lower budget, and he just had to make something out of nothing. And in order to do that in these scenes where he was trying to make something on a grand scale for 1986, what seemed like a horde of aliens killing a bunch of Marines, it's all in the way he edits and shoots every single one of those scenes that makes it come to life like what you think. You think you're seeing what you do nowadays, like you're pointing out Avatar. I think we both just mentioned, we both just got a chance to see Tomorrow War or whatever that shit movie was. Like, you get an entire CGI army of creatures running at you in every movie now that has that kind of aspect, whether it's zombies or whatever monster movie it is. If there's more than 10 of the monsters, you're going to see a scene where they're all CGI'd running up a hill or running up a building or running down a hallway.
Here's the example. That movie, when you first get introduced to your big alien attack set piece, what's the camera focusing on? The alien, right? And the person is just a stunt person, and you maybe see a quarter of their back. That's the example of the difference. Aliens, it's never focused on the alien coming at the screen. It's the person, and the alien is lurking through sound design and through rubber suits.
They keep the focus on who is in peril, who is facing down an alien in this moment. As you said, those reaction shots, if there's one over there, there's one over there, you always know who it is, what the scenario is, because you're focused on the character. You're not losing track of them. And just
because the moment is for the character.
Yes.
The moment is for the character. The aliens are there.
Not just for spectacle, which is for the audience. He didn't run into the same problem Spielberg had with Bruce the Shark, but he used the same technique of show this thing sparingly, show it for the right frame, not every frame. Not just because you need to see spectacle. Oh, we've got another shark moment, let's make sure you see a lot of the shark. No, sometimes all you need is a fin for it to be an effective shark moment. Sometimes all you need to see is an alien head, whip towards somebody or whatever, or come out of the smoke. And that's all you get for that whole moment, that whole character moment. But it's effective enough to sell the frights and the excitement and the thrills in every single one of these scenes.
We got to talk about the people that we lose, the characters that we lose in this scene. Because this is that second big gut punch where the cast gets deteriorated significantly again. And I believe it starts out with my boy Hudson.
Game over, man.
He goes out like a rock star. He goes out like a rock star, though. Like, he gets over his fears, kind of knows he's going to die, and just this is my time. And he takes a whole lot of them out. But then the only one in the movie that comes out through the floor. And I still don't really get the geography of how that works. Like if it lifted up the thing, wouldn't he lift off with it? It doesn't matter. It was awesome scene.
Yeah.
And he's shooting down at it, and he's going to have a miserable next couple hours.
I love the way Hicks tries to pull him out, but then an alien's coming over top, and he has to do the roll. He has to roll and shoot at the same time. Like, those are the moments that you could say feel like an action movie, where it's this choreographed scene. You save your buddy who's being pulled into the floor. You got to roll and shoot, but it's so minuscule. But
that's an action scene, though. You got people shooting rocket launchers at aliens, and they're flipping over. Oh, and just Ripley trying to figure out how to get the fucking safety off, and then just shooting just into
Even going in the tunnels is a nice little bit of plant and payoff with Newt's character, making that believable that their escape, that she can play the hero mostly. At the end there, she gets to have another kind of hero moment to help save them. Vasquez has a great, I guess it's a hero moment, the way that she fights to the end. That's what we'd expect from her character. She's such a badass. We were still being introduced to Cameron and his way of bringing females to the screen. Nobody up until Terminator and Aliens had we really seen female characters kind of be this badass on screen. Maybe there's
And he never made a big
Princess
deal
Leia is
about
pretty
it.
cool, but like that's the Cameron thing. That's kind of the Spielberg thing, is like they don't need to make a big deal out of things that are a big deal, which I love. Like her being such a badass character. But yeah, I always love the way she uses her foot to plant it against the face. Yeah, she knows she's gonna take some acid hits here, but she's still trying to fight for her survival, you know, till the last second. And then you get the great moment with Gorman going back to try and help her.
Redemption.
Realizing that, you know, it all is lost, and they bust out the grenade, and that's a setup for why Newt falls down the shaft. Like everything informs the next thing, and like nothing is lost. There's nothing that's just there for spectacle. It's all part of storytelling, character development, in what could just be seen as, look, it's got special effects, it's got creatures, it's got machine guns, it's a dumb action movie. No, not at all. Every second of this movie is intelligent.
And we also lose the sniveling Burke, whose plan, I don't understand what he thought he was going to do. If he locked out everybody, that was basically his salvation.
Yeah. I mean,
I think he was just freaking out.
Anyway, but
the Gorman Vasquez scene is a really great scene. It's a really great scene. Like him going back for her and trying to take out a couple and actually showing that he can use a gun. Yeah, I guess then you get Newt down the shaft, gets, I guess, kidnapped. I guess they just don't hurt her for some reason. They're just like, oh, let's just put her up in this little spot and set her down.
Yeah, like why? What makes the alien choose who's a host and who should be killed?
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't always make sense. I often attribute it to, like, if they think they're a threat, which they just look at her as a, you know, a much smaller human, without any armor, without anything that she, like, are they smart enough to know the difference between a gun? I guess so. They've been shot at. So
it's this terrifying scene where it's one of the bigger aliens. It comes up out of the water.
Yeah,
that is scary as fuck. But when she doesn't die from it, you're like, oh.
Certainly one of my favorite images, you know, from the movie is that one coming out of the water behind her. And then that run down the hallway, and they try to get the elevator to close, and the one dives through the doorway at Hicks. Like there's a bunch of shots where the alien, as we said earlier in the film, you don't get to see them all that much. The environment
that is a really good one. I don't think about enough. Yeah,
that's a really good one where its head comes through the door and the hands wrap around the door.
Angle of the camera is really cool too.
Yeah. And the sound design, you know, their specific sound of like coming through.
You want to get into the rescue, which is one of the most badass, perfectly paced, timed out scenes in a movie ever, I think.
Well, you just called it. It's actually an amazing feat of filmmaking, because it is actually timed to the 15-minute time clock that they have, the countdown they have before the place blows up. It is actually 15 minutes of exact film from the time that she goes in to the time that the explosion goes off. You know, that so rarely in a film, when they set up a time clock, do they give you that amount of time on screen and make it feel real.
Yeah, a lot of the times it shoots itself in the foot by giving that time thing, and you're like, no, this doesn't work at all. Well, I mean, let's not forget her elevator trip down where she's strapping up the fucking pulse rifle with the flamethrower. I know it has a name, but
it's nothing but a person psyching herself up for this moment, you know, and making herself more comfortable, taking off her sweaty top and strapping on, you know, tying the gun together. But all of that, it's just, it's the music. The music is building up, the cuts, you know, cutting away from her to show some of the destruction that's going on around the facility. And like it's atmosphere too. Like the movie, like you pointed out earlier, like the way that the sweat appears on characters and stuff like that, the way the wind blows through her hair in that elevator, you feel that like how hot it is, but that she feels a bit of cool air blow past her, and she like moves her head in a way to like soak that in, to try and be like, this is one little moment I can try to breathe without an alien in my face. but I'm not free of this. I'm going into the depths of hell to try and save my new daughter or whatever. Like,
she's full-blown action star by this point in the story. You know, I mean, I guess the kind of sideline Hicks and sort of like it makes sense, you know, like
it makes sense. We wouldn't have wanted Hicks. We want to see that, you know, mama bear going in for her cub and how fierce, you know, how fierce a mama bear really is. Like,
that's true.
Female protecting their young are way different than a grunt, you know, a trained soldier. Like, it's a whole different dynamic seeing her go in.
It'd be a whole different movie if you had him helping her in that scene. Yeah. So then we meet the queen, which we've talked about a little bit already, but fuck that scene. Yeah. And like, I've seen some behind the scenes stuff of that, and the space that they use is one of the more to scale rooms where it does everything. I mean, everything you see in that scene was there, you know, pretty much, you know, puppets and the eggs.
We've talked about how this movie feels big in scale with all these aliens coming out of the walls everywhere, but that's actually one of the few times where you can see the true scale of the flame going all the way across the room and lighting up multiple rows of eggs at the same time, and her standing there with Newt. Like, it's all, like you said, it's all really there in that shot, and that's one of my favorite shots too, to really sell the realism.
Oh yeah, I think the whole movie is we've said it a million times, it's flawless, but as we start moving through scenes, I just keep thinking more and more like, oh my god, this is the, like, when Sigourney Weaver's just raw amazing acting ability comes out is when it just keeps cutting to that pulse rifle sound and showing the amount of bullets left in the gun, and she just goes, ah, and she's making that noise, and it keeps getting closer and closer on her face, and she's just blasting the fucking eggs, and the music gets loud. That's the best scene of anything ever. Right there.
What a great showdown of mothers protecting their children, and you get all of it without any dialogue. It's all wordless, and it's, you know, the motivations are so clear for both of these creatures, you know, human and alien. It's just, again, back to just perfection. Like, we built to this moment, and it's paying off perfectly.
That facial expression of Ripley too, where she's like,
oh,
let's see what the fuck you're doing.
It's almost up there with Get Away From Her, You Bitch, with like one of Ripley's best moments of just that head tilt. Nope, fuck you. Like, I love it so much. It's a nice little plant and payoff of the android human relationship that's set up through the first film.
Yeah.
You know, so that's, again, like more character driven storytelling in that moment. But yeah, I mean, I think, again, it's like the music plays into that to intensify it. You get this feeling of hopelessness when the queen arrives on that platform, and that wonderful shot of just for a second, all you see is smoke, but then it pokes its, you know, its head comes out of the smoke. Like, I think Cameron is very Spielbergian.
You just hear the elevator door, by the way. The zzz, that's all you hear. Yeah.
I think Cameron can be very Spielbergian in those moments of like reveal and awe. Different though, like the Spielberg moment, like looking up at a dinosaur or seeing the shark for the first time, the look on people's faces and stuff like that. It's different, but Cameron has his own way of selling those moments and making them like movie history. Like they work. All it is someone seeing something off screen, but it's still how he directs the actors in those moments, how he frames it, or how he reveals a monster in a certain scene or whatever. It works on a level just as good as anything Spielberg does.
Let's say that Ripley gets Newt and has the scene where she shoots the queens, and has her scene where Bishop is not there, but then he picks her up, and the alien's but the alien doesn't attach itself to the ship, and then they nuke the site from orbit, it blows up, and then the movie's over. Would you be satisfied with that movie?
Well,
because it's still a very intense scene.
Yeah, I think I still
kind of had a showdown with the alien queen already, you know.
I think I would have still. It's hard to say whether I would hold it higher than Terminator 2, because a big part of what Terminator 2, being my second favorite film, again James Cameron obviously, the finale has what this one has as well, where it's like you go through a couple stages of the finale and it keeps ramping up, and the you think the enemy's defeated but they come back and stuff like that, and it works really well. That happens in lots of movies, but it's like predictable and pointless. It's like, oh well, now they got to fight him again a little bit more, big deal. Like, so I don't know, Terminator, if you didn't have the finale where Ripley faced off with the Queen in the power loader, I might be calling Terminator 2 my favorite movie, but Aliens would probably still be pretty close, if not second, maybe somewhere in the top 10. It's really hard to say, how different I could view Aliens without that, because it is a very strong scene.
I like posing that question because, like I said, the Ripley scene of her just blowing away everything in there and the way it just keeps ramping up could have been considered your, like you said, Mama Bear versus Mama Bear, but then they fucking won up to that.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a hand-to-hand fucking duke it out punching match after that, which is just so probably I want to say maybe the hardest thing to shoot out of the whole movie.
It seems like it certainly could be. I mean, the power loader is completely realized and believable on screen. It's not using CGI. Completely believably, the way it moves, it fights another creature that to me is a real animal. Somewhere on this planet, in a cage somewhere, is a queen alien, because how else did they shoot that and make it look so realistic? My brain never wants to tell me that is a special effect. It is a trained animal giving an amazing performance, because of course it is. Look at it. Look how real it is.
Yeah. Just the way it sounds. I mean, it's so fully realized in every detail, from its different sounds that it makes to the way it moves.
So I still hold the Queen Alien as the greatest creation of a creature on screen, because you never have even a second of it looking like a CGI creation, because there isn't one.
So much of it is close-ups, and that's why it works so well. Quick cutting, close-ups. Yeah, you do see it fully realized, the Queen, and it is there in all its glory, and you can see the scale of it, but it doesn't linger on those full wide shots of what it looks like, and they don't show it really moving. I think the coolest shot of the Queen is when it reveals itself from the dropship.
Back to sound design and score, and the sound of the power loader, the sounds it makes, the sounds that the Queen's jaw makes when it extends and stuff like that. It's just the tail whipping. It all has distinct sounds.
I think it was Roger Ebert who said he thought this movie was brilliant, but it made him so depressed after. Did you ever hear that quote of his?
Yeah.
He said it made him so depressed
because of how much through the ringer he felt when coming out of it. But
he's right. But that's what's so great about it.
It's my favorite movie. And yeah, maybe an 11-year-old shouldn't have, enjoy the thrill ride of going through an alien world and the survival, but I don't know, that's what I've always gravitated to, is this being a pure survival story. You've got these characters that you're introduced and given enough to really care for them for the first hour of the movie, and then it just becomes all out survival for the rest of the movie. And like a Die Hard, it's a enclosed environment that you can't escape from. Every character has to fight their way to the end of this movie. No one's going to get an easy out, and it lives up to that. Like no one does get an easy out, and it's a pure fight for survival all the way through, in a way that no one had ever seen before. Even 35 years later, I don't think anyone's been able to pull it off in the same way. They've tried many times to make movies similar.
And Ripley is one of my favorite movie characters of all time, because you watch 1 and 2. I think she actually devolves after 2, but by the end of 2, they never forgot to make sure she remembers everything she's ever learned about her experiences with these things, and she uses that knowledge in every way, especially at the end. She's like, oh well, I can't kill this thing on a moving spaceship because it's going to burn right through the thing. Oh, what did I do last time? Oh, I'll just open an airlock. And people are like, oh, that's the same beat as the first one. It's like, well, that's the only way you can do it, like, you know, safely. Yeah.
The DP wanted to light the hive scene brighter than Cameron wanted. And that scene, as we talked about, works with what you don't see. It's all about keeping things hidden in that scene, and the editing that doesn't display this big set. It makes it feel claustrophobic and scary and fear of the unknown. All you have to hear is a character say, it's coming out of the goddamn walls. We don't need to see every alien that came out of the goddamn walls.
Yeah.
So all these little things, like the crew not really, like them wanting to take coffee breaks or tea breaks, almost like sabotaging certain shots. If you know, from commentary tracks and making of videos, there's a lot of talk about how the crew was not helping Cameron make this movie. They were fighting against him.
Yeah, because they were British. They didn't like his work ethic.
Yeah, exactly. And still, I don't think anybody does, because he's a taskmaster. But still, look at the films he's produced. They didn't know it at the time that they were working with a genius, but he overcame all of that and made the greatest movie ever. Still holds the title with 2 of the highest grossing films ever. I know box office doesn't equate to quality. As we point out, Aliens only made 85 million, but is still the best movie ever. But Cameron can do it over and over again. I don't care what the box office is. Every movie he makes is working on some level of perfection. Even if Avatar, you know, is his weakest, in my opinion, he's still pretty much working on a level of perfection all the way through his career.
Because you couldn't make that movie for $18 million now. You just couldn't. So if you try to extend it in that inflated, you know, perspective, then it could have been $1 billion film.
Things that feel tactile on screen because they're not using CGI. Like, the techniques still exist. Why can't we use them still?
Well, you have less and less people doing those big puppet work things and creating big live action creatures. You just have less people doing it. So, you know, and that's a shame. I was never scared of an alien again after Aliens, because I knew it wasn't there.
I'm a lane switcher, big tank bank filler, real killer, die for my gang number.
But when it happens midpoint of a franchise where it's all been just people in suits and puppet work, and then all of a sudden Alien 3, you're like, what is that fucking thing running around? It's like, it clearly isn't there. It doesn't look like, it doesn't have the same grading. It like looks odd and it's moving weird. This was the first movie going experience in my life where like I felt the weight of like everything happening around it. I had seen a movie before that in the theater. I mean, I saw Return of the Jedi, probably E.T., but I don't remember. I know the same year I saw Top Gun, which blew me away for different reasons. But this was the one that like I shouldn't have been in. My cousin shouldn't have taken me there when I was 9 years old, but boy, am I fucking glad he did, because it never left my mind. And like, that's probably that movie is probably the thing that shaped what I like in movies more than anything else. Obviously my taste changed as I got older and I liked dramatic dialogue driven stuff as well. But I don't know. I kind of Aliens, I hold everything kind of to that movie when it comes of overall, like how you make a movie work, you know?
Yes. That's my take on it. Exactly. I hold everything against the movie making qualities of Aliens, and they all fall short. And that's why it is perfection of movie making. And loving it as much as I do, holding every other movie up to that candle, they all fail so miserably to me that I have to knock them down a little bit. Like, sure. They're accomplished in their own way. They've got good filmmakers behind them. They made tons of money, whatever they are. They've got their franchise starters. I don't care. They with $18 million and a crew that didn't want to help out, Cameron made perfection, and everyone else should be able to achieve that too, and they can't. So this movie is an 11 for me.
Put it up to 11, exactly.
It's 150 million, really. It's above everything else, but in our own little grading scale, we came up with movies that go up to 11. Yes, because we like to have fun with Spinal Tap, but really because movies like this exist.
and they deserve to be heralded as better than just an A+ top 10. This is a perfect 10. No, this goes beyond. This goes beyond. There's lots of movies that are great that you can say deserve 10, but only a few, really only a handful that deserve an 11, that go above and beyond. And this is one of those. This is the best ever.
And this movie is 35 years old this week, which is amazing when you look at movies now and you look at this movie. 35 years old. I wasn't even in double digits of life yet. And that's how amazing hard work and talent and skill and determination, what that can do on screen if you know what you're doing. You also have to be good at what you do.
One other little fun fact is this shirt right here. I don't know if you can see this. This is the readout of all of the crew.
There it is. Gorman, Epone.
And another thing I figured out by watching stuff too much, there's a bunch of characters like Ripley, Hicks, Hudson. Hudson doesn't show up on here for some reason.
Yeah, why is Hudson not on there?
I don't know. but like all the minor characters, including like Jeanette Goldstein. Let me find her on here. Vasquez. Oh, where the fuck is she? Vasquez. J. Vasquez. So he just uses the real actor's first initial. D. Spunkmeyer. The guy's name is Dwayne. C. Dietrich. Her name is like Connie or something like that.
Oh, because they never had first names in the movie.
They don't have first names, but I figured that out by watching the cast list many times on VHS, going, ooh, who's that? Who's this? Who's this actor? And then seeing this readout and pausing it and going, wait, look, their first initial, like, what is their name? Apone, Al Apone, wherever he is. Al Matthews is his name. So not all of them, but almost all of them.
Yeah, because Ripley still has an E there. Name. Yeah.
I think.
Damn, dude. Folks, if that's not a fucking Aliens fan, then I don't know what is.
Hudson, for whatever reason, not showing up on the shirt.
That's
on the
bullshit
readout,
right there. That's some bullshit.
On the real readout, I know. I saw it right away. I told Tony, I'm like, hey, did you notice it doesn't have Hudson? But I think it has a W, which can be William and Bill. So his does kind of line up. But, and like even Bishop has an L, which means he's got a first name of Lance.
I like to think that Hudson's real first name is Wally. Wally Hudson. He just looks like a Wally. Or Chet. Could be Chet.
Yes. Didn't you say it's Hudson on break or whatever?
Yeah, Hudson on R&R. Yeah.
I named my son after James Cameron to some degree. Will I start him off with a really scary movie like Alien and make him sit through that just so we can watch Aliens at some point? Or just start off with the greatest of all time, Aliens? He's not going to watch it till he's 10 or 12, but at the same time, when he's old enough, he will get the full Alien experience.
Okay, everyone, that was the 35th anniversary of arguably the greatest movie of all time, Aliens.
No argument here.
Yeah. Hope everyone if you're watching this and you haven't seen it, well, we gave a lot away, but hopefully we compelled you to watch it. And if you've seen it and you love it like us, we hope you enjoyed celebrating 35 years of greatness, which is James Cameron's Aliens, with us. So we want to thank you guys so much. Until next time, I'm Ben.
And I'm John.
Game over, man!